Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first episode of the Dolce Far Calcio podcast in English. So this is the English version, completely different from the Italian one.
Yeah,
No, it's
and the
not.
fact
But
that the fact that we did it 2 days ago in Italian is like struggling my mind,
yeah, obviously this is
but it's
completely
fine.
different. But at the same time, we're gonna power through.
We're
This,
going to do it.
yeah, and as always, I'm Jacopo. Next to me this time there's Dishan. Tao is working, so he cannot be here today. And from the other part of the English channel, in the fields in Wales, Harry.
In the fields, in Wales. Hi, how are we? You right?
How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm excited. A little bit nervous, but I think it's something we've been planning on doing for a long time now. So I think it's gonna be a good laugh. It's gonna be nice to be able to talk about all the topics that we've thought through. I think the fact that we're given the opportunity for fans in the UK to hear about Serie A, I think is a massive thing. Yeah, I think the main thing is I think we just need to have fun with it, and hopefully the people listening enjoy that, and they have fun listening to it.
Absolutely, absolutely. You are our Welshman, so you know more about the marketplace as of the and also how the Serie A is viewed
Yeah,
in the
exactly.
UK.
I don't think Serie A gets the justice it deserves in the UK, especially you know since the 90s. Obviously, the 90s Serie A was at the peak of its power. Everyone wanted to play there. We are lucky in the UK that we have the Premier League as our main league. Um, but it means that a lot of people maybe don't open their eyes as much. Obviously, I have, been watching Serie A for a good few years now. And to me, it is such an exciting league. The fact that in the league, we've had how many different winners in the last 5 years? I mean, off the top of your head, you think Napoli, Inter,
All different
Milan.
ones. All different ones.
Exactly. And that doesn't happen in the Prem, and that's one reason that I think Serie A has been such an exciting league. Even now, you look at you know, the battle at the top of the table, whether it's for the Champions League places. You got 3 or 4 teams fighting for that. You got Inter and Napoli at the top. It's a genuinely really exciting league, and to be able to talk about it on this platform is going to be a really really exciting sort of journey that I think we'll go through for the rest of the season.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. And the fact is, we are really blessed this year because the fight on top is actually really entertaining. Because I think on paper, Inter is a far better team than anyone else.
Yeah.
But at the same time, Inter struggles a bit more this period of time. But obviously, we're going to talk about it. Napoli also right now is not in the best period of form for them. Maybe Lazio and Juve they reached a point that maybe with other hiccups from Inter and Napoli they can be a little bit of a distraction, a little bit more of a struggle, obstacle for Napoli Inter. But right now, as of now, I think it's too early to say that Lazio and Juve with 10 points behind are a really big threat to the two on top.
No, exactly. And like you say, I think with the gap in between maybe the top 2, top 3, and 4, 5, and 6, I think it's almost like 2 battles going on at the same time. You look at, Juve and Lazio now share, 4th, 5th place on 46 points. Only goal difference separates them. Even Fiorentina, look, they drop points on the weekend. They will be disappointed by that, but it's not a lost game in that battle for 4th place. It's exciting in the way that can happen in this league. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know who's going to slip up, and you don't know whose place you can overtake. It's going to be a really, really thrilling end to the season, I think.
Yeah, and we need to remember that in less than 2 weeks we have the actual big match between Napoli and Inter at the Maradona
No,
Stadium.
exactly. I think with home advantage, I think Napoli might be expected favourites, but you can never write Inter out. But
bro. Let's start from the beginning. Napoli is not the favorites in any game against Inter, I think.
I don't know. I think No, I will agree that maybe not. However, in a game as important as it will be in the grand scheme of things, in the Maradona, I don't think you can put Napoli as anything other than the favourites, even against Inter. Whether you agree with me, I'm not sure, but that's just my opinion.
I don't agree with you, but we're gonna start the Serie A talk in just 1 second, because I wanna say hi to Andrea Spirito
He's always with us.
Always with us.
Always.
One of the
Number
best fan.
The best fun, yeah.
Of Dolce. So thank you, Andrea, and welcome. But before we properly start this podcast, start with the title for this segment of the podcast, that is called "Why So Serie A." I'm not gonna do the Joker voice.
I'm a big fan of it.
I'm not gonna do the Joker voice, but obviously it's a play on the actual line of the Heath Ledger Joker. We also need to say hi to Pierluigi. Hello, Pierluigi, and welcome to you too. Harry, start with your view of the weekend of Serie A.
So obviously, massive games at the top of the table. You had Napoli playing Lazio and Inter playing Juve, of course. Both teams had a lot at stake. Napoli would obviously look to beat Lazio at the Olimpico to, stay up in first place. Inter would obviously have loved to have beat Juve. Massive derby d'Italia, huge game. But not only that, I bet you did. I have to say, what an entertaining game. The 2 times they've played each other this season. Wow.
Yeah,
like the 4-4 in.
The first
incredible.
thing I said to Jacopo after the goal, it was after a lot of time. It was the first time that both of the matches of the year was awesome.
Oh, unbelievable.
They were not boring as the
and I think the actual game of Sunday is much better than the first leg, because obviously the first leg is a 4-4 draw. It's incredible, it's spectacular, but at the same time, that was the actual errors of the defense showing in the results.
Yeah, it was more short than
this. Obviously, we need to say that Inter deserved like 2 goals on Sunday on the first half.
Yeah.
If the first half finished 2-0 for Inter,
that was it. That was it.
They wouldn't have robbed anyone.
Yeah.
I
Lautaro did a lot of errors.
It wasn't a good game.
One of the worst Lautaro's match.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah. But on the other hand, for me, the main talking point of the game, aside from the result and what it means for the table, is, I think, probably Delchan, probably your favourite player at the moment.
Who?
Zizou.
Zizou Colomwani.
What a player, man.
What a player.
He's, the assists. I was watching the goal back yesterday, and obviously he hits that roulette, and everyone's, everyone rightfully so is amazed by just, I think, mainly the balls to do it in that situation. Acerbi's on a yellow, he can't go into it, fair enough. For me, it's that little touch that plays it into Conceição's path that is just so.
While he was falling as well.
Honestly, I think it takes. You can see the levels to the game when a player can, have the awareness to do that, but also the skill to pull it off. It is just a little touch, but it's the perfect little touch, and it is brilliant.
Yeah.
And then a really cultured finish from Conceição to get it past Jan Sommer in goal.
Yeah.
I think Sommer is not the best way to show a great goal, because I think he has been one of the weakest link in the Inter squad this year. I think he's a pretty good keeper, but I think he's showing his age right now.
Yeah, maybe. I think especially after such a good season last year, maybe the fact that he's gone downhill so significantly in comparison is showing quite a lot. But
for what is about the goal in Juventus, probably I think Sommer was looking forward for Pavard to take it. To be on the ball. He just went through his legs, so.
No, exactly. And I also think that the finish was a finish that is quality enough where the keeper didn't really have much of a chance anyway. It's close range. It's put it like decently far into the corner, like you say, under Pavard's legs. just a brilliant goal from Juve, to be fair to them.
I want to say hello also to Francesca Verini and Ale Govino that just entered the chat. And I want to also point out what Pierluigi is saying that in the last 10 games, Roma is first in an hypothetically standing.
Okay. All I'll say is, remember, it's hypothetical.
Exactly. You need to say hypothetical because it's really up in the air.
Really hypothetical.
No. To be fair, I will say Roma
this standing.
100%. But you do have to take it with a pinch of salt and give props to Roma and to Ranieri
nothing to say about it.
What they've done. It's brilliant. Fair play. Like, think about where Roma were to start with and where they are now.
Yeah, that's for sure, yeah.
Oh, they've come on leaps and bounds. I mean, admittedly, when you're first in a hypothetical league, you're not going to win any trophies. But, props to them. Fair play.
Yeah, I think... Ali, I'm laughing at your comments about the integration in this channel. So that's why I'm laughing, because he said... why are you laughing?
What are you laughing for?
What are you laughing
for?
Why are you
laughing, Chris? Why are you laughing? I'm being serious. Okay.
Roma is right now one of the better team in form of the Serie A. Obviously, it's too late for them to compete for the Champions League spots. Maybe they can have a remontada, how the Roma fans say it, for the Europa League spots. But it's difficult because obviously they lost too many points during the season with the first four games of De Rossi and then the 2 horrible months of Juric, that is now the current manager of Southampton.
And isn't he doing such a brilliant job for them?
Yeah, getting them relegated, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I want to throw a shout out, if he's listening, to my friend Seth, who's a massive Southampton fan, and I can't wait to see you in the Championship next year, mate.
you went too deep,
the fact
too
that
personal.
He gets it all the time. He'll be used to it.
The fact that in Italy we poke fun of the teams that are gonna get relegated because in the stadiums they chant next year you're gonna play on a Saturday because the Saturday is the Serie B day.
Right. Okay.
You cannot say that in England because
we can't. No,
they play in the same days. So it's
So I think you get, say now for TV rights, for example, in the UK, you'd get maybe 1 or 2 games in the weekend from second divisions to the Championship, but you'd get a lot more for Premier League. But you also get the rights on different broadcasters. So you get Sky Sports, for example, TNT Sport as it is now. Whereas the Championship doesn't get much. I don't know about Serie B with you. I don't know if you get a lot of broadcast opportunity.
You can watch it on DAZN.
Right. Okay.
And you can watch it all the games are transmitted on the app.
Speaking of Serie B, I was actually going to ask you and the people listening about the idea of whether if I went to a Championship game here in the UK and you guys went to a Serie B game and we compared sort of the experiences, whether that's something that people would want to see or not.
I think it's something you could show, but the differences are gonna be enormous.
Crazy. Yeah, 100%.
Because obviously in the Championship there are much more money, more sponsorships, and
more show, and
the show is
even
different.
The stadiums is the first thing that will stand
out. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But we can show the how pathetic
the
proper
Italian
experience.
The proper Italian experience.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's get back on track.
Yeah.
And I want to ask
I was gonna say. Yeah. You
how
go. You go.
See Juventus season going forward?
Honestly, positive. I really do. I think that the results that they've had recently, namely obviously the Inter win on Sunday, I think it will really be the boost that they've needed. They've had Kolo Muani come in and hit the ground running. I think Motta's always been a manager who I've really enjoyed watching. I know that maybe that's a controversial opinion because maybe the football hasn't been the most fun, but I just think I like the way he is. I liked him as a player. I like him now. And I think that with, Kolo Muani doing well, the injury crisis, if you're not a Juve fan, is quite entertaining to see how they've adapted and how they're continuing to adapt, which is something that I really enjoy seeing. But no, but honestly, to answer your question, I think they'll do really well. I think they'll finish in a top 4 position, maybe them or Lazio, maybe 4th and 5th as it is now. So that'll be an entertaining watch to see how that folds out. But no, I think they'll do really well, I have to say. What about you? What do you think about it?
I think you need to point out that Juventus right now has won 4 games in a row, because after the Napoli loss, they won against Empoli, against Como, in the Champions League against PSV, the first leg, and then they won against Inter on Sunday. So there are 4 in a row for Juventus, and I think it's the first time this season for the Motta side. Obviously, we need to take it really slow with Juventus, because they showed a lot of great promise in other moments of the season, with the win against Lipsia in the Champions League. For example, we talked about the first leg of the Serie A against Inter. They were 4-2 down. They went on and drew the game 4-4 with an incredible second half, with an incredible performance by Ildiz. But every time that you have a little hope for the Juventus season, they start going down bad.
But
with,
down.
With a lot of draws against lesser teams, smaller teams. So I'm gonna say maybe the worst moment has passed. The storm has passed. I don't know if they can be safe with the 4th spot on the table, so the last spot available for the Champions League next year. But I'm gonna say that they are maybe the favorites to go and take the last Champions League spots for next season.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with you at all. I think, again, like we say, you mentioned the draws there, 13 draws in 25 games, but only 1 loss. It does say quite a lot. But
I think you need to point out that
it's not normal. If
no,
you did like
100%.
7, 6.
But the draws is the problem, but the losses is still impressive.
It's easy. Juventus is Juventus. At Juventus, you need to win. Right now, is the team is winning, so chapeau. But at the same time, you cannot be at Juventus with a season of 13 draws. Absolutely not. And you are the best team in Serie A history with Inter and Milan. You cannot be drawing with Cagliari at home, Venezia at home, Fiorentina in the last minute, Bologna at home. So if you think about it, those are not draws, but those are draws, but are like losses.
Yeah, I mean, fair.
And I want to ask you about Inter, obviously, because in the last week, 8 days, they lost 2 games over 3 played. So I want to ask you, is the start of the end? Is the beginning of the end? This is the end of Inzaghi's career at Inter, because I've seen also that if Inzaghi doesn't win the Serie A or the Champions League, he is gonna get sacked. So I want to ask you.
I mean, in terms of how factual that is, I don't know, but my opinion would be, I don't think so. I think what he's done for Inter, okay, admittedly, Inter are a team who deserve to be up at the top, whether it's winning the league or, certainly top 4. Champions League, they really overachieved in that year. They got to the final, and they deserve to be there with the way they were playing. They've won the Scudetto twice with him, I think. He's done
only once because
I was with Conte before,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but regardless, they still have won it and got to a Champions League final. Okay, maybe they would like more, 100%. If they won it this year, again, it'd be huge. And, obviously he's not going to get sacked if they win it this year. However, I do think that if you look at where they were, same with Milan 10 years ago, and even since, 5, 6, 7 years, they've got so good. And they are, like you said, when we were talking about them and Napoli in the title race, they are arguably the best team in the league. So would you get rid of the manager who's helped create that monster and risk it not working. I mean, yeah,
can I say
you
that
jump in wherever you want. Yeah,
you said it. They are the best team in the league. They should have won the Scudetto, the first Inzaghi year against
the one Milan won.
Against Milan.
Yeah.
The second year of Inzaghi, Napoli obviously did an incredible season.
Napoli
they played
were incredible.
So you couldn't argue that, but they finished 20 points behind Napoli. That's the problem. Last year you won because there wasn't any competition. This year, with the first bit of competition that is not even the fiercest one of the last 10 years.
They started struggling.
They are struggling in the big matches because I want to point out that Inter, as of now, has gained only 2 points over 4 games against Milan and Juventus because Inter lost the first leg of the Milan derby against Milan with the 2-1 win with the Gabbia goal. They drew the second leg against Milan. They drew the first leg against Juventus and they lost on Sunday. So you need to point out. Then if you think about it, they drew against Napoli at home. 2 weeks from now, the game is in Naples. So it's really different for Inter to play a game like this in Naples. It's obviously they won against Lazio and Atalanta in a really big way because they won 4-0 and 6-0, so it's incredible. But they lost against Fiorentina one game and they drew and they won 1. They drew against Bologna at home. So if you think about it, Inter right now is struggling in the big matches, and you can see it however you want, but that's a fact.
Yeah, it's fact.
And if you, and I'm pointing out what Mkhitaryan said on Sunday after the game. We were live, so we couldn't discuss it at the moment.
It was at
but
the end.
If you say that your team is unplayable because you are too good, and then you lose 2 games in 3 weeks, you will lose points on every big match you play. Maybe you're not so unplayable as you think.
Okay. Yeah, okay, I agree. I do agree with your point. However, I would argue back that with the big games, completely agree with you. They should not be losing the amount of points that they do in those big games. But what I would say is think about how good they have become under Inzaghi to the point where they've lost 2 games out of 3, and not to, your Cagliaris and your, Monza, no disrespect to those teams, but Fiorentina, who are a really good team and have been quite an on-form team this year, and Juve, who are right now, I would argue, the most on-form team in the league. One lapse of maybe poor results, 2 losses in 3 games doesn't define a season, but it does define how much of a monster Inter have become. That is an argument in the first place. Without Inzaghi and the squad that he's assembled, we would not be looking at two losses to informed teams as this massive, will he get sacked? I'm not saying that it's a positive that they've lost these games. I'm not saying that it doesn't show that, maybe they are in a bad moment, but it does point out how big they are at the minute and how strong they are as a team over the course of the last few years, last few seasons, that is a point in itself. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense, but I don't know how Dishon feels it, but I think Inzaghi is one of the best managers in Italy, if not the best one. But I think sometimes he needs to evolve a little bit because that's the
absolutely.
fact. Inter doesn't evolve. Inter is the same team,
same type of game
for years right now.
Yeah, and perhaps things.
And that's a good thing because obviously
absolutely.
they play.
If you win, you keep doing the same.
Yeah, exactly. If it's not broke, don't fix it. Even down to their substitutions. Their substitutions are so planned. I think the problem is we know what they're going to do. You know that the fullbacks will go off, and we know who's replacing them. There's no, like you say, there's nothing different in what they're doing.
Yeah,
there's
but the thing is, I'm saying is that the substitution are a problem. Also, not only because Inzaghi only substitutes a left back for a left back or a center forward for a center forward. The problem is the starters are too much for the bench players. Like, for example, if you put in Aslani for Çalhanoğlu,
it's a massive gap, 100%.
it's too much. But no, I'm not. I took the exaggerated one. If you think about taking off Barella and putting Frattesi, last year was a really good substitution. Brought a lot of points to Inter.
Not now.
Right now, you cannot do it. And Frattesi is an international player. He plays for the Italian national team. It's not the same thing. And the starters right now, they are feeling also the fatigue of the season, because I saw a lot of players really struggling during the games. And I'm really
100%.
curious about the game against Genoa next week, and obviously 2 weekends from now, the big match at Maradona.
Yeah, and even then, they've also got Lazio then on the 25th in between those games. So, you know, it's the same with most teams these days, but there is no rest, and it's not an excuse that you can give to Inter but not give to another team.
Yeah, there's no rest, but Juve won 4 games in a row.
No, 100%. And Juve have also had the knockout playoffs against PSV
Inter,
as well.
Right now, Inter is playing less than before.
Yeah.
No, 100%. And certainly less than other teams.
Said as well when before the match at the interview, he said that it was a moment of chill for them because they didn't have any other match, and it still went wrong.
So I think it's time to move on. And,
I was going to say, the one team I would like to talk a little bit about is Roma and their... we'll talk about the Porto game in the future, but the game against Parma, right? As much as it's a 1-0 win in circumstances where they've got a game midweek either side of the game, we can talk about the goal and how unbelievable that free kick was from Soulé. But I think it's a really important win for them as well. I think when you've got the 2 games against Porto, who aren't a bad outfit, fair play to Roma for doing as well as they did and getting the 3 points away at Parma. We did Parma. We know it can be quite a difficult stadium to go to, especially, you know, when you've got a game either side. To get a win, I think it's an important win for them as well. It keeps them, you know, in the last 5 games in Serie A, they are unbeaten with 4 wins and 1 draw. And it does keep them, you know, creeping up the table a little bit more as well, especially when other teams were, you know, facing each other. Fiorentina dropped points. Milan only managed a 1-0 win. I think it's a really big win for Roma, that one. I don't know if you guys have an opinion on it, or you think, you know, you have anything to add on to what I'm saying.
I think it's a pretty clear picture, the one from that comes from the Parma game. I think Roma right now is a pretty informed team. He's playing much better than before. It's not a perfect team. I think the first 30 minutes of the game on Sunday were a little bit more complicated than maybe Ranieri could have wanted from a game against a smaller team. But Parma played pretty good in the first half of the first half. But at the same time, the red card obviously changed completely the game.
Yeah,
and after it, Roma scored on the same free kick of the red card. So it's easy then to not struggle to manage.
Nothing to do about it. Nothing to say to Parma as well.
But really, I would like to talk about another team more than Roma, because as I said, Roma is easy right now. But I want to talk about Atalanta, because I wanted to ask you, is the tank completely empty? Because I wanna point out, and then you can answer me.
Yeah, okay.
From the start of 2025, Atalanta lost against Inter in the Supercoppa, against Napoli in the Serie A, against Bologna in Coppa Italia. They drew against Udinese, Juventus, Barcellona, Torino, and they lost in Cagliari this weekend. They lost also in the Champions League against Bruges. They only won 3 games from the start of 2025. For a team that in 2024 was used to crush every team in front of them, I think it's a little bit worrying.
Oh yeah, absolutely, it's worrying. I think, you know, like you mentioned, they did lose to Club Bruges last week, and they've obviously got them tonight in what is a massive, massive game for them. The Cagliari result, if we're going to focus on that mainly, as it's the game that's just happened, really disappointing. There's nothing else you can say about it. Cagliari are a team that they realistically should be beating. You know, Cagliari now sit in 14th. You know, Atalanta sit in third, and you know, okay, maybe with the fact that Inter and Napoli have dropped points, it would have been a great opportunity for Atalanta to gain some ground. Yeah, really disappointing. Like, I think it's a game that they should have done better in. I think having Zaniolo up front, maybe you'd expect him to do better. I don't think he played particularly well.
Zaniolo went to
Retegui, sorry.
Yeah.
Retegui, you know, he didn't play particularly well on FOTMob. He's got a, 5.8 rating. It's not great. Pasalic, you know, good game. Ruggeri, good game. But you'd expect more from Retegui, who's, you know, was he top scorer at the minute with 20 goals? You'd expect more.
At the minute, after the 4 goals against Verona last week.
Exactly. You'd expect...
one of the 3 games they have won
exactly.
year.
But you'd expect him to do better, you know, in a game like that. And yeah, I don't know. I just think it is a worrying situation for them when they're losing ground on teams that they should be realistically easily pushing aside. Again, no offense to Cagliari. You know, it would have been a really important win if they'd have got it, but they didn't. And I think that shows quite a lot about maybe the differences in level between your Napoli, your Inter, and then your Atalanta. Even Juve, okay, they're not having a great season this year. We've covered them now. But I think Atalanta don't have that killer instinct. Yeah, they did brilliantly last year, but I don't know. To me, I'm not convinced by them as a real title threat. And I know that might be very controversial, but that is my opinion on it. I don't know if you agree or disagree with that.
I think it's the same opinion that Ale Govino has, because he wrote in the chat, guys, but how boiled is Atalanta? So I think he doesn't see them as a contender for the Serie A title. I'm going to say that I think the same. Atalanta maybe has lost the train for this season.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's so difficult.
Exactly, and I feel really bad for them, because they are a team who've been quite consistently good in the last couple of seasons. Maybe they had a few off, you know, seasons in between the last 5 years, but even then, you look at them now with the team that they've got. You know, you mentioned earlier that Inter have a much stronger team than Napoli, but then you look at the Atalanta team, there's no one in there who, okay, maybe apart from Retegui, that really screams, you know, quality to the same level as maybe the other teams. Gasperini is the only person who I think is absolutely phenomenal. This draw actually got him his 600th point for Atalanta in Serie A, which is second only to Allegri with Juve. So you look at maybe the quality of the team compared to the others, and maybe that's part of the reason they haven't got the killer instinct or the quality that the other teams around them fighting for the same accolades do.
I think that's obviously one way to see it, and that's our way to see it. Maybe others in other podcasts or on TV, they are thinking that Atalanta could go on and maybe have a little bit of comeback, but I don't think so. I want to point out to the guys in the chat, we are going to talk more about Roma, but in the next section of the podcast.
We'll talk about them.
We're going to look at the Porto game,
which is going to be a crucial game for Roma's season, I think. Same with Atalanta tonight. I think we can't talk about Atalanta without saying, obviously we'll look at it further, but about the importance of tonight on their season.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to talk about that. We're going to finish the look back to the Serie A with your thoughts on the Lazio-Napoli game. Really, 1 minute, shoot it all, and then we're going to do a proper look forward to the European games.
Okay, so obviously, I mean, I want your opinion on it as well, but my points on it were obviously Napoli have dropped crucial points in the title race. Lazio have been their bogey team this year. Lazio beat Napoli in Coppa Italia. Then the next game, they beat them in the Maradona. And Isaacson, what does he take before he plays Napoli? Because the goals he scores against them are phenomenal. The goal on the weekend, ridiculous. But even if you think back to December when he scored in the Maradona, unbelievable goal. So yeah, he's obviously doing phenomenally well against Napoli. it is the third consecutive draw for Napoli, which obviously is a little bit worrying for them in their bid for the title. Thankfully for them, obviously Inter did lose. When it comes to Lazio, they replicated the result when the sides they wanted to replicate the results from when they met in the Coppa Italia. They couldn't, but they would probably still be happy with a draw. Perhaps maybe they deserve to take more out of the game. Perhaps not. That's up for debate. And yeah, I think they'll be disappointed that with Juve winning, they're now level on points with them in fourth place. Again, on a Lazio perspective, Tati Castellanos going off injured is a bit of a blow. Providel, he's not been playing well recently. I think I've seen a lot of Lazio fans calling for Mandas, the sub-keeper, to be put in the starting lineup now. Mandas has played a couple of times in Europe as well and played quite well. So yeah, whether it's a case of putting Providel on the bench, obviously Noslin will probably come in now for Castellanos, depending on how serious that injury is. Yeah, I think it's just been a bit of a 50-50 game for Lazio and a disappointing one for Napoli. I don't know if you have anything you agree or disagree with, really.
I'm gonna say really. I'm gonna say something really fast, only because we talked about it on Sunday. I don't think Lazio is the black sheep for Napoli this season. Only because if you think about it, Napoli lost 2 games before this one against Lazio, but the first one is a Coppa Italia game that Napoli asked to lose. They play with 11 substitutes, so obviously they weren't paying too much attention to Coppa Italia, and that's a mistake, but a Conte mistake, not a game that they should have won. Obviously, the first leg in the Serie A was a tough loss, also because Napoli didn't play magnificent football that day. Neither did Lazio, but at the same time was a loss in the last minutes of the game with an incredible shot from Isaacson. Sorry. So you need to take it with a pinch of salt, the losses from the first part of the season. I think on Saturday Lazio maybe deserved a little bit more. The draw is a little bit too tight for Lazio, but at the same time it's not like the Napoli has dropped anyone. I think 3 draws are a little bit worrying, only because Napoli doesn't have the players right now to do much more. That's the thing, because Napoli right now has half of the defense injured. The guy that should have been the natural substitution for Kvara is injured. Okafor that they brought in for Kvaratskhelia is not physically fit to play 90 minutes right now. But I think we saw a great performance by Raspadori. The first chance he got, he started the game for the first time since the second match day of the Serie A this season. So more than a half of a season he didn't play from the beginning of the game. So I think he has played really good, considering it all.
Yeah, I mean,
so I think that's it for the look back at the Serie A weekend, and now we're gonna obviously start talking about the Europe week. Obviously, we have the Italian teams that are gonna play. Milan, Feyenoord, and Atalanta Bruges are gonna be played today. Tomorrow, Juventus is gonna be playing in the Netherlands against PSV, and the game that we are gonna start with, I think the most important one, the Roma game against
The most
Porto.
felt one in Italy.
yeah.
Obviously, the most
Biggest
felt
one.
one here in Rome, but one of the, I think it's the most important one, because in the Europa League, Lazio and Roma could say something about it.
Yeah.
They could be a title contender. I
For
don't
the
know
other teams
what
that
you
said.
think, Harry, but
I mean, obviously, being in the UK, you hear a lot more about the English teams in those competitions. I know Spurs and United fans I hear both of them telling me, "Oh yeah, but we're going to win the Europa League and all that." And it's, will you though? I think when it comes to the Europa League, obviously, Roma play Porto tonight, and it is a really season-defining game for Roma. They've managed to get the 1-1 in the last leg, which is brilliant for them. Going to Porto, a really difficult stadium to go to, and getting a result, which is what it was. Obviously, they play tonight. Whether, I don't know if Dybala's back from his knee injury.
Yeah, I just read
I
that
think he
he's
is.
back.
He
will
should
be
be back.
available.
He is,
He
yeah.
should be back for the Thursday
Okay.
game.
Which, again, a massive, massive positive for Roma. The one thing I would ask you is, if you were Ranieri, your star players just missed the game because of an injury. Okay, maybe it wasn't as bad. Maybe they deliberately rested him. Who knows? Do you start Dybala
Yes.
and risk it?
Yeah.
Yes. The answer
Yeah?
is always yes.
Yeah,
When Dybala
okay.
is fit, he needs to play.
He needs to be that. No, I completely agree, and I'm glad that you
I know
said
that
that.
Sule played pretty
Like,
good on Sunday.
it was a
There's
different
also
match.
Baldanzi. That's a possibility.
Yeah,
But
I mean,
if
I
Dybala
think
is fit, you need to play him.
exactly, and I think in a game like this, experience wins over form.
Yeah,
I think
and also
Baldanzi
the
and
most important
Sule,
game
they
of
might
the
have played
season for
well.
Roma.
Yeah, for Roma, it's
Exactly.
the most important
If it
Exactly,
was like
so-
a game in the Serie A against Torino, maybe.
one. Maybe
Maybe you can bench him and then put it on the
60th,
yeah.
80th.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, even when you look at the form of both teams, we know we've spoken about Roma beating Parma on the weekend, and in the last 5 games they've played, they've beaten Parma. Obviously, they had the draw to Porto, then they beat Venezia and lost to Milan, and a draw to Napoli. It's 2 wins, 2 draws, and a loss. Okay, but Porto do go into the game unbeaten in 5. Obviously, maybe you could argue that the Portuguese league maybe isn't at the same level. That's if you want to say that, you can say that. If you don't, you don't.
We
But
can say that.
yeah, we can say that. I think we all agree on that.
Yeah.
But either way, I think still, Porto are going into it on a fine run of form, regardless of the competition that they're facing. It could be a game where they go for an upset. They've played at the Olimpico once already this season against Lazio. I was at the game, and they weren't a bad outfit. They really, Lazio did win, and I think Lazio deserved the win on the night. But it did take until the 96th minute or so for Pedro to score the goal. It is a really... Porto are a team that I would never bet on Porto, because I think one week they'll be brilliant and one week they won't. I don't know if you agree with that. I don't know if... what are your takes on the game? Like, where do you see it going?
I'm confident that this Roma can win against a lot of the teams in the Europa League right now.
Yeah.
I think as of now, it could have been worse with a different opponent. I think this is the worst Porto team in the last 10-15 years. So maybe it's a little bit easier. At the same time, Porto is always a difficult opponent. But playing the second leg at the Olimpico is something different.
For me, it will be
elevates everything that the Roma team does. So
Yeah, the crowd tomorrow will be crazy. In my
100%.
opinion.
day after tomorrow.
The day after
100%.
tomorrow,
Yeah.
sorry.
Thursday,
Absolutely.
I mean, no, I completely agree with you. I think the Olimpico does come to life when, especially in a big game. I mean, we did the
these
derby
kind of
in
matches for
January.
sure.
Yeah.
I would have
100%.
loved to go to the Olimpico,
But we're
on
not.
Thursday. But we are not.
We're not.
We are not.
We need some rest as well.
We
I
need some
certainly
rest,
am not.
absolutely, because obviously for the ones listening right now that are in Rome tomorrow, we have this the live session in Angolo Trieste, incredibly famous bar, the
Absolutely
best
love
bar.
Angolo.
It's our spot.
It's our spot. So we're gonna do that meeting with you fans. We're gonna have
We're
some
going to do
chats
quiz,
about football. We're gonna have a beer together. We're gonna obviously do quizzes. Yeah, Harry is showed the
The jumper.
the jumper.
I have to say, I'm disappointed that you guys aren't wearing it. I'll be honest.
We don't have it.
We don't have it.
You
We
don't have
the
it? Oh,
We
size
don't
no.
have
for
it
us.
because they don't have the
Oh,
size.
okay.
We are
I-
too fat. So we are too fat. So
We
Is
will
that what
have.
it
We will
is?
have it.
we will
We
have
will
it.
have it.
Okay.
Hopefully, when they get bigger sizes. Uh,
And
I
we were
was
I
going
mean,
saying,
yeah,
to
I
bring
just want
the
to say, yeah,
shirts as well.
shout out to Angelo from Wales as well. Like, I absolutely have been raving about Angelo. It's my
shout out to
favorite place to
Angolo,
go for a drink.
and
Such a great place.
we wanna give some spoilers to the few listening to today that are gonna be tomorrow at Angolo. The quizzes are structured that for one person there are five questions. If you get four right, you get a beer, free beer. Five right, you get a shirt, or an Angolo shirt, or a Dolce Far Calcio shirt. Your pick. So after this
I'd go
brief,
for the DFC shirt personally, but that's just me.
what?
I'd go for the Dolce Far Calcio shirt
Of
myself,
course.
but
Obviously, but
Okay, thank you for the little,
The little-
advertisement.
yeah,
Oh,
we
okay,
can
but yeah.
get back to the Europa League match between Roma and Porto.
yeah.
The-
What are
the-
your opinions on it then?
Yeah, the only thing that I want to point out that if Roma wins, there's a big chance that they play against Lazio, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how do you see a possible
Another derby.
a Roman derby at the round of 16?
You're asking me, are you?
Yeah, obviously.
Okay, I don't want to talk too much about it because obviously we don't know what's going to happen tonight. We don't know how the draw is going to go out. However, if they do face against each other again, it will be absolutely huge. It would be, I think, not only the biggest games of the seasons in terms of the Europa League, it would be massive for them, but also in terms of Serie A. Obviously, if they face each other, only one team can go through, obviously. That leaves the rest of the season in Serie A without Europe to think about. So you think about it now with Lazio. If Lazio beat Roma, they've got the fight for top four as their only priority, depending on what happens in Coppa Italia. You think of it as Roma, they've got the fight to go back up. It's huge in any case, whatever way you want to think about it. But even then, if you look at, I think it's Bilbao is the other option. If Roma end up winning tonight and playing Bilbao, that's also not an easy game. So Roma have got two really difficult games. One in terms of Bilbao are just a good outfit, and two, Lazio, the derby in Europe would just be just incredible. It would be sensational. It would be loud. It would be passionate. It would be a spectacle. Really, it would just be a spectacle.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. But I want to point out that Roma already played against Bilbao the first game of the super this new group stage of the Europa League. So they already played in Rome and they drew 1-1.
1-1.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think that at the start of the season compared to now, maybe both teams have changed a lot. Roma certainly, improved on the start of their season. I can't say that I watch a lot of Atletico Bilbao, but it does still, promise to be a great fixture if it is that in the end.
Yeah, absolutely. So we can have a look at the Champions League games. I think we said it today. Obviously, Milan is playing at the San Siro against Feyenoord, and I want to know what you think about this game because that's the only team that we didn't talk about.
Okay. In terms of the fact that it's in San Siro is massive. I think that going in 1-0 behind, I don't know if many people were expecting that to happen with maybe, Feyenoord are a good team, don't get me wrong, really good Dutch outfit. But Milan are a team that would be expected to win that home and away. So I am still confident that Milan will win today. I am. It's just whether they can do it convincingly or not. And again, a 2-0 win would be great for them. It would see them through. But for them, they want this. They need this win. I really think they need this win.
Yeah, it's an important match.
Yeah,
For
100%.
sure, an important match for every Italian team in the Europe competitions. And I agree with you.
Yeah, I agree. At the same time, I think Milan is the team that you can never know what they are gonna do on the pitch. That's the motif of the season. that Milan had as of now. They obviously got
Scrape a
a
1-0 win
much
against
better
Hellas as
player
well.
up front. We got a lot of players. Milan got Walker, Sottil, João
Jimenez.
Felix, Bondo, Jimenez in the transfer market in January.
They're a
Yeah,
good
I mean,
team on the
They are a
paper.
good team. They
Yeah,
were a
100%.
pretty good team before. Now they are a great team, and obviously they are in a position that they are much better than the Feyenoord. If they go out tonight, that's a really disappointing
Yeah.
result.
Yeah, 100%. I think, the fact that obviously they had that close game with Hellas on the weekend, Jimenez has been a really good signing for them. I think I didn't know much about him before he came in, I'll be quite honest, but you two are the ones who said to me, mate, you need to keep an eye out for this guy. He's come in, he's
I
scored.
said it. 2 goals in 2 games.
Yeah, I mean, he's the third player to score in his first 2 Serie A games since it's been a 3-point format in the league, since Pulisic and Shevchenko. Only the 3 of them have done that. Okay, maybe Pulisic isn't the player that Shevchenko was, but, it's still not bad company to be in. And if he can carry on the way he's going...
Pulisic is the best player in the Milan
Mate,
season.
he is, but he's also, Shevchenko was playing in a time when Milan were arguably the best team on the planet, whereas obviously Milan aren't there now. But
And
you
he's
look
also the LeBron James of soccer.
and exactly, he is the LeBron James of soccer. So if Jimenez can carry on the way he's going and really bolster that attack, I think I'm biasly a massive fan of Tammy Abraham, but maybe he's not the player
You're the only one.
Maybe, but he's not the player that's going to guide Milan to however many goals they need a season. Jimenez has potential to be a really key player for Milan going forward in years to come.
And he's
So-
also pretty young because
Exactly.
if I'm not wrong, it's maybe from 2001 and 2001, right?
Probably.
Yeah, something like that. I'll find out for you now.
I'll look it up right now.
You think it's
Oh.
2001?
I think so, but I'm gonna look it up. It's from 2001.
Yeah, fair play.
Yeah.
Well done.
So
Well, we're informed.
And so we talked about Milan game. We talked about Atalanta before, but I wanna you need to give me only, and I'm saying only,
I'll put the timer on.
the prediction for the Atalanta game.
For the Atalanta game,
Yeah.
I'm going to bet it tonight.
you're going to bet it tonight.
Yeah.
I'm
you
going to
say?
say 2-0 Atalanta. I'm going to say Retegi's going to score.
Okay. So they are going to the to the extra time.
No, 2-0, which will make it 3-2 aggregate. Sorry.
2-0. Sorry, I got it 2-1. The Milan game prediction 3-2-1 go.
3-1 Milan.
The Juventus game prediction 3-2-1 go.
2-0 Juve. No, 2-1 Juve.
Okay. And the prediction for the Roma game on Thursday?
Oh,
Too difficult.
Too difficult.
yeah. So I want to say 2-2, but I just think Stadio Olimpico will carry Roma over to a win. I think with Dybala back, like I said, 1-0 Roma.
Perfect. I'm gonna say what I think that every Italian team is gonna go through the next round. I don't know the actual results, but
so I have to do it, but you don't.
Shocked. if-
What's fair about that? Hang on, no. We're
No.
doing it properly. If I'm gonna do it, you're doing it, right? I want a prediction.
Okay, I'm going to
I
say
want a prediction for
Go,
Milan.
Jacopo. Roma.
3 Roma,
Yeah.
2-1
Okay.
for Roma.
Juve,
Juve 1-1,
Milan.
3-1,
Okay. Atalanta.
3-1.
Okay. Dilshan, I want yours as well,
Hold
mine.
the mic.
I'll not take this responsibility.
Uh,
will
say-
Dishan is the coordinator.
Yeah, I'm
Is,
the
uh,
coordinator.
Well, so he doesn't have
cool.
to, huh?
That's not. I'm not paid enough for that.
Okay. Yeah. Fair enough.
I think we can talk about one last game for the
Yeah.
European weekend. That's the biggest
It's Real
game.
Madrid City. It's Real Madrid City.
Real Madrid City, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you guys watched it last week, but oh wow, what a team! Real Madrid, City, 2 great teams, but Real Madrid, man, like in the Etihad. Okay, City have been in their standard have had a torrid season. They've been awful compared to what you'd expect from them. Haaland has been non-existent for a large chunk of the season as well. But Real Madrid, like you can't even compare them to another team. They've got the defensive issues now where you've got, I mean, their predicted lineup tonight sees Valverde at right back, Tchouameni at centre back, with Asensio in centre back as well. Asensio is a player you would never have even been able to name a year ago. But somehow they can still be the Real Madrid that we know and love. You know, Ceballos is back in there starting a lineup. Where's that come from? Like, you know, they're so injury ridden and so problematic, yet they still manage to be so impressive. You know, arguably they maybe should have won by more last week, but I think in the Bernabeu tonight, I think they'll try and see off a nice little win, maybe 1-0. And I'm going to say Rodrigo will score.
Yeah, maybe that's I wanna before that we continue to talk about this game, because you said I hope you saw it, guys. I saw the game last week, but I saw the game at the same time I was watching the first day of the Sanremo Festival. I know that you are a pretty huge fan. So
I honestly, I haven't watched it this year at all. I'll be honest, I haven't watched it at all. And if you were about to ask me a question,
a year with Enrique Poveri and you don't watch this year.
mate, honestly, I just haven't had time to watch it this year. I wasn't going to watch a little bit of it and not watch all of it. So I will I will listen to the music.
Man.
I mean, honestly, my parents tell me that every day. Don't worry.
But have you listened to any of the songs or?
No,
Nothing?
not yet. I will do. I've been listening to not much Italian music recently.
The live stream here. If the only song that you heard is Ollie.
No, honestly, I haven't listened to any of them. I'll be honest.
Bro,
And
Holly is the best winner that Sanremo could have got this year.
I'll take it that you're lying. I'll take it that
No,
that's...
no, I'm
serious.
serious. I'm
Okay,
serious.
right.
I'm serious.
No. If your aunt had balls, she'd be your uncle. But she doesn't, so she's not. You know what I'm trying to say? By the way, any of my British mates watching this are going to rinse me for doing that.
But listen to me. You need to listen to the Sanremo songs as soon as you can. So next week I'm gonna interrogate
Quiz me
you
on it. Yeah, no worries.
during the live, because
On the songs.
guys, you need to know that Harry is a pretty huge fan. He watches it every year from Wales. So I'm really...
Yeah, I mean, no, say that. I watched it when Brividi was on there with
2 years ago, you
Mahmood and
watched it
Blanco. I've watched it
year.
last year. So that the Brevity year last year, and then I will catch up on everything this year. I see Rose Villain's in it, so I'm looking at who's in it now.
Obviously, the first name out of your
Well, no,
mouth.
I mean,
is Rose
no.
Villain.
To be fair, I've just seen my favourites in there. Clara. Oh, to be fair, I genuinely, you guys are the reason.
The favorite singer.
Oh, mate, honestly, yeah.
you're
Wait, she sings.
You're giving grades just by the name.
Oh, mate, honestly, like, yeah. I know who deserved to win it. It was Clara.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you want to tell
the colours
everyone
were as well. Yeah, she's the song. It was just, it hit me on an emotional level. The lyricism, like all the lyrics on it were just phenomenal.
Yeah,
really.
sing it a little bit. Sing it for us.
Sing it for us.
No, see, I can't do that yet. We'll do that, and when I
Nice
get to
hair,
Italy,
nice eyes.
when I get to Italy, I will sing it.
Perfect.
Yeah, well,
Looking
do that
forward for
deal.
that.
Let's get back to
okay.
Let's get
business.
back serious.
Yeah,
a little
yeah.
bit, because obviously I'm gonna say that I'm really looking forward to the game tomorrow between Real Madrid and City. At the same time, I've also read what Guardiola said today in the press conference that he took today. I think I agree with what Guardiola said. City has maybe 2% chance of winning the Bernabeu in this current state. At the same time, Real Madrid doesn't have the actual starters on defense.
No, not at all.
So maybe that's something. But I don't know. I think if I have to predict score, I'm gonna say 2 or 3-1 Real.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, yeah, I like Real Madrid and in the Bernabeu as well. But you can't count City out. As much as I do think Real Madrid will get a 1-0 win, they'll try and see the game out. Man City is still Man City. You know, they are suffering a little bit with form this season. But you know, you look at the weekend now, Marmoush with his hat trick. It's a great, great thing to come from against Newcastle as well, who are, have been phenomenal last few years as well. They've been really, really impressive. Marmoush getting a hat trick. They've got a few more injuries in Real as well. Grealish obviously going down, being the key one. But
Rodri is the worst player they could have gotten injured this season.
Absolutely. I have to say, do you think Real will unleash a tifo at all tonight? Like a banner or a choreography, the way the City did last week?
I don't know.
They probably will.
They probably will, but nothing special. I don't.
No,
I
don't think
that
they've had
no
time
one
to do it properly.
does better banners than
Italian teams.
No. The Italian ones are good, but
my favorite one personally,
the Serbian, the
Oh yeah. Bratislava.
The Eastern European side
it's crazy. Germany as well. Germany is phenomenal for it. Like Germany's fan bases,
without limits.
they're crazy. Yeah, exactly. I think that's something we'll need to do at some point. Is go out to Germany to experience some football out there, but that's for the future.
Yeah, we will need a bit of money. Once someone is going to pay us, for sure, we're going to Germany.
Exactly.
So it's time to do our last segment of the podcast, and it's the Let Me Talk.
Let me talk.
The Let Me Talk segment, in which we're gonna read your questions in the chat. And I have also some unpopular opinions that we could talk about, that we can discuss right now while we are waiting the questions in the chat. The first one that I want to point out.
I look forward for Eduardo.
The Eduardo questions are incredible, but we're going to point out one unpopular opinion by Alberto. Busquets was a normal player. If he played in another team like Chelsea, he wouldn't have been this praised.
Do you want me to go?
Yeah, absolutely.
Of course.
I mean, first of all, no, just no. I think Busquets was one of the best ever at doing what he did, pulling the strings defensively, being that sort of pivot for, obviously, Barcelona were a great team, phenomenal, one of the best ever, but he was a key part of it as well. He allowed other people to do what they needed to do. Like, I can see you, but I'm a little bit behind watching the clips now. I can see you boys laughing. I don't know if you're laughing at what I'm saying or what that is, but for me...
What are you laughing for?
What are you laughing, Chris? Why are you laughing? But genuinely, I think I'm someone who genuinely would have agreed with this opinion 5-6 years ago. And then I remember watching loads of YouTube videos on him and just realizing how, I can't describe him, how good he was at what he did. I'm a massive Busquets fan now. And again, he was a facilitator. He allowed other people to do what they needed to do. And his passing range was so underrated because you had Xavi and Iniesta next to him. His defensive work, so underrated because Barca didn't concede that many goals because of players like him, Puyol, Piqué, even Victor Valdez in goal. To me, I think phenomenal player. Like, enough said. I'll let you guys chime in.
Yeah, I think this unpopular opinion is completely wrong because I don't think he's a normal player. He was a normal player, but at the same time, it's miles behind someone from like
not outrageous.
Iniesta, Xavi Alonso.
Oh, yeah, 100%. But also, I think if he was in a different team, he would have been, if anything, seen as better because there would have been a bigger difference between him and other players around him. Maybe he wouldn't have been able to do as much, or the team wouldn't have worked as well because think of the players around Busquets. But as a player himself, he would have been great in any team.
Yeah, I think so. Obviously, in that system, the Barcelona system, it was he was drinking his cup of tea.
Yeah,
as you guys would say it.
Exactly. Are you learning?
Exactly. The second unpopular opinion I want to talk about is this one. Di Marco Prime is the closest thing to Roberto Carlos that we ever seen.
Oh, okay. Do you want to go first on this one?
Yeah, and I'm gonna say it's not so crazy to say it, but at the same time, obviously, there are other players before Di Marco in that conversation, because Roberto Carlos obviously was one of the best, maybe is the best left back in the history of football, and we had Marcelo right after him at Real Madrid. But Di Marco is the closest Italian player, I think, to Roberto Carlos, and he is the best left wing back at the moment in Europe.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
I
put
would
it like
die on
absolutely.
that hill.
in my opinion, if it's the most similar one in Italy,
Yeah,
not in the entire world.
he's not at the,
No.
at the same
Impossible.
level.
Impossible.
I don't think Di Marco is the same in the same conversation, but at the same time is the better Italian version that we had
Yeah.
of Roberto Carlos.
No, I mean, like, I do agree completely with what you're saying. The one thing I'd say would be maybe, I think Marcelo, like you mentioned, is probably the closest thing. Okay, maybe that's because he's Brazilian, played for Real Madrid, maybe, but also he was just a different level above the rest. And, he's just retired, so we wish him a happy retirement as well. Um, in terms of DeMarco, you two know how much of a fan of DeMarco I am. I have been singing his praises for years. And to me, he has been for a good season or two, but certainly now he is the best left back or left wing back on the planet. And to me, no one comes close. I think since Robertson has gone down a little bit with Liverpool in the Prem, I think DeMarco came in at that exact moment. It was almost like passing the baton. And DeMarco has just been otherworldly in terms of how he's been playing on that left. Don't get me wrong, he's playing in a team that facilitates what he does perfectly well. You've got Bastoni behind him, they work so well together. But at the end of the day, DeMarco is the only player I think who could do what he does as well as he does. I mean, what a player. What a player.
He good. He has for sure good qualities. He's an awesome player. In the last time, he's not doing really good, but
Yeah, but
it's kind of normal. It's okay. He's a good player.
Next from the chat is Dybala is a pretty good player, but he's actually just we regard him as good only because of the name, and he played at Juventus, and now he played at Juventus. Right now, is a washed player.
He's overrated
Okay,
now.
I want to take this one because I have an opinion
Yeah,
on
yeah.
this.
Go
All
go.
yours.
I don't completely agree and I don't completely disagree, but I don't think it's down to the Juve thing. My opinion of Dybala is he is a phenomenal player and he still is that phenomenal player. You look at the derby, for example, we were obviously there. He was unbelievable in that game, but he has been in other games as well. He's always been consistently, maybe the guy that they've looked to, the star man, and that is his role at Roma, and he does it. I think there is an element of maybe we think he's better than he is because of nostalgia. I saw the other day on TikTok there was a video about just how you look back to when he first joined Juve, well, the all blackout boots, everyone like started copying, getting the same tattoo as him, and all these things. And there is a
My
nostalgia
father.
element. Yeah, I mean, does he?
Yeah.
Obviously not. Look at the colors of their skins.
I'm like
Obviously.
the tattoo on his,
I don't
arm.
look at that. Yeah. No, but I mean,
I'm
like, how do
joking,
I know he's
obviously.
got the tattoo? No, I know. But what I'm saying is there is that element of you look at Dybala. I mean, he did the Griezmann celebration the other day against, was it Venezia? And it's they're two players of this generation where I think maybe we remember them as being a bit better than they were because of their primes and the nostalgia of how good they were and how much we loved them, even if they weren't as good as we remember them being even then. But to answer your question, I do think Dybala is a great player, but maybe not as good as he is considered by others.
Yeah, I think this comment in the chat is a little bit too strong because I don't think Dybala is a washed player.
No.
At the same time, obviously, he's not the same player that he was 10 years ago when he started playing for Juventus, or also 7 years ago in the peak of his career at Juventus. But it's normal. He has also aged. So
He's not young anymore. He looks young, but he's actually not. So it's kind of understandable, even with all the injuries that he had.
Absolutely.
Which destroyed him, which destroyed his last moments in Juventus. He went away mainly for this problem, which he was always injured, but he has a lot of quality.
No, exactly. I mean, like you say, he is 31 at the end of the day. There is, you have to take everything with a pinch of salt, where I think because of players like Ronaldo and Messi who are playing at, Ronaldo's 40 years of age, Messi's 37, and you do look at that and you think, oh, that's normal now. It's not. It's just freak athletes in, conditioning that allows them to do it. 31 as a professional footballer is still an old age. Not old, but it's you can't expect him to be as good as he was when he was 21. And even at 31, he was still player of the month last month, I believe, or maybe the month before.
I think the month before.
Yeah, so you can't argue that he's not a good player or that he's washed, because a washed player doesn't win player of the month.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
the last one from the chat is Ildiz is much better than Leao or Kvaratskhelia, from Eduardo.
Oh, yeah, I want your opinion on this, I'll be honest. And actually, no, I want to hear from you two, because I think you two will... I just want to hear from you two. I think you guys will have a very interesting debate here.
I think he's one class player. As of now, he's not better than Leao or Kvaratskhelia, but he could be in a really little amount of time. I think in 1 or 2 seasons, he could be much better than the two of them.
Yeah, in my opinion, the same. The fact that at the moment at Juventus, he's got a lot of pressure with the number 10 on the back, and he played all the matches before January.
And he started playing this season. He started playing really good also in the big matches. That was a bit of a problem.
Inter is a proof. He just got in
also
and
in the Champions League,
10 minutes, 2 goals, Champions League. He's a good player. He's got a really nice talent as well. The way
the only thing that he's missing right now is the killer instinct. Maybe in front of the goal.
Yeah.
With that, is better.
Can I ask? Yeah. I want to ask you. So I'm going to add to the unpopular opinion. I'm going to ask: do you think that Juve's lack of form this season, especially going forward, has maybe helped Yildiz look better, or do you think that he is just quality enough?
That good. I think it's that good.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No, I like it. I mean, yeah, I do agree with both of you. I think right now, you look at Rafael. Maybe he's not on form, but we all know how good that player is. And I don't think you can say after one season that Yildiz is a better player than him. Whether, like you say, in a short amount of time, he might be. Same with Kvaratskhelia. Again, Kvaratskhelia, if you look at him right now, he's just gone to PSG, so it's difficult to compare when he's in a different league. But when he was here, I mean, would you say in the last year of Kvara, would you say that Yildiz has been better?
No, but he could be better.
He could be
exactly
better in a very small amount.
He will be better. For me, he will be better
for sure.
Yeah, for me, I completely agree. I mean,
for the age he has.
Exactly. Yildiz is 19 years of age.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, the potential he's got is, it's crazy.
It's wild.
I think he's still not in the prime.
No, not at all. And I think that is really, really interesting for him about whether he will be able to take that and, do well and do what we kind of expect him to do, or whether the pressure will get to him. You see players like, I don't know if you remember Dortmund in 2017 when Ousmane Dembele was coming up. Do you remember Emre Mor?
Yeah, the
Turkish guy.
The second Turkish Messi.
Yeah.
Exactly. And you look at him, and the reason I compare is, two Turkish players, youngsters coming up at a big team. Emre Mor had the potential, he was talked about in a similar vein that Yildiz is now, probably after less, accolades or less he didn't deserve it as much. However, he was still talked about and didn't get to the level we expected him to. Whereas Ildiz,
It's
I
different.
think,
It's different. I think it's very
I
different.
think other things. I don't know if it's different in terms of. I think it's different in the outcome that will happen, but I think it's still a case of Ildiz could really bottle it, or he could be huge. And I do agree with you. I think in a short amount of time we will see Kenan Ildiz as this star player for Juve.
Yeah, I think so. So the life has come to an end.
I heard the life is coming to an end.
The life,
What?
yeah.
Same. I was going to say. I was like,
What?
I really
The
enjoying.
life has come to an end. Thank you guys for being with us. Thank you very much for our first live podcast in English. Obviously, we're gonna remind you to come to Angle tomorrow. On the next Monday, we're gonna have the live in Italian, and then obviously the second episode of the English one. So stay tuned. We're gonna post on Instagram and TikTok. You should start following us on Instagram and TikTok.
And from today, you'll find every podcast, even on Spotify and Apple Music. All the links, all the infos, dates, the time, and everything. You'll find everything on Instagram.
And if you know anyone who might enjoy the podcasts, make sure you share it as well. Share it as far as you can. And make sure you check back next week.
Obviously, yes.
Thank you so
Harry.
much, guys.
Thank you, Harry. Bye.
Thank you very much
fun
to you
at
boys.
Football practice. Bye, guys. We'll see each other tomorrow.
Forza DFC.
Forza DFC.